The big meeting room was quiet. Thousands of alien beings sat in their chairs talking in soft voices. The Galactic Council met here every day. They made rules for the whole galaxy. They decided who could trade with who. They solved fights between different worlds. Ambassador Velthor looked at his papers. He was tall and thin, with skin like blue glass. His people were called the Axiom. They were very smart and very old. Today's meeting was boring, just like most days. Trade problems. Border fights. The same old stuff. Next item, said the council speaker. His voice was flat and tired. We found something in Sector 7G. It's a dead star system. The third planet had life once. They built spaceships. Then they all died about 3,000 years ago. A picture appeared in the air above them. It showed a blue and green world. But the world looked broken. There were big black marks all over it. No lights, no movement, just death. Most of the aliens didn't even look up. They kept reading their tablets or talking to each other. Dead worlds were common. The galaxy was full of them. Species grew up, got too violent, and killed themselves. It happened all the time. What were they called? Someone asked from the back. They called themselves humans. A few aliens nodded. Another dead race to put in the history books. Another warning about what happened when a species loved war more than peace. The humans were just one more failure in a galaxy full of failures, but far away in the cold dark between stars. Something moved. Commander Jinha floated in front of the main screen of his ship. The ship was called the Defiance. It was small, and old parts of it were held together with metal patches and hope. Jinha was 45 years old, but he looked much older. His black hair was going gray. His face had deep lines from years of worry and pain. 50 years. 50 long years since Earth died. Jinha remembered that day. He had been young then, just 25. He was on a training mission in deep space when the messages came. Was gone. Turned to ash by aliens who didn't even know humans existed. The Tyrannos' hegemony had been testing a new weapon. They picked Earth because it looked empty. They never bothered to check if anyone lived there. 20 billion humans died. That day, Jinha's family, his friends, his whole world, gone in minutes. Sir, said a voice behind him. Jinha turned to see Hareen at her station. She was 30 years old, with short black hair and calm brown eyes. She had been born on a colony ship, one of the few humans who had never seen Earth. The long range. Sensors are picking up something big. Jinha walked over to her screen. Hareen was the best sensor operator he had ever worked with. If she said something was big, it was very big. Show me, he said. The screen lit up with dots of light. Thousands and thousands of dots, all moving together like a school of fish. Jinha felt his stomach drop. He knew those ship shapes. Tyranna's hegemony fleet, Hareen said. Her voice was steady, but Jinha could hear the anger underneath. 14. 1,000 ships? Maybe more? They're moving toward the Rimworlds. The Rimworlds were where the weak species lived, the ones who couldn't fight back. Small colonies of farmers and miners who just wanted to be left alone. But the hegemony didn't care about that. When they wanted something, they took it. If people got in the way, they died. Quan Jinha called out, "Get up here." Chief Engineer Quan climbed up from the lower decks. He was a big man with thick arms and oil on his clothes. He had been fixing something, like always. The Defiance was old, and old ships always needed fixing. What's the problem? Quan asked, wiping his hands on a dirty rag. Jinha pointed at the screen. The hegemony is moving on the Rimworlds, 14,000 ships. Quan whistled low. That's a lot of firepower. Those poor colonists won't last an hour. Hareen looked up from her screen. Sir, we have to do something. Those are innocent people. Stared at the screen. 14,000 ships. The humans had maybe 20 ships left in the whole galaxy. 20 ships against 14,000, it was impossible. It was suicide. It was exactly the kind of fight that humans were supposed to avoid, but those were innocent people about to die, just like his family had died, just like Earth had died. He said quietly, "Send a message to all human ships. Tell them to meet us at the edge of hegemony space, sir. Haren looked confused. What are we going to do? Jinha smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was cold and sharp, like a knife. We're going to remind the galaxy that humans aren't as dead as they think. Quan frowned. Jinha, I know you're angry. We all are. But 20 ships can't fight 14,000. It's impossible. Impossible, Jinha repeated. He looked at his two friends, the only family he had left. Quan, what's the one thing humans are really good at? Quan thought for a moment. Surviving. Jinha said. We're good at doing impossible things. The galaxy forgot that about us. They think we're just another dead species, another pile of bones to study. He turned back to the screen, watching the massive enemy fleet move toward innocent worlds. But we're not dead. We're angry. And angry humans are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Horan started typing on her keyboard. Sending the message now, sir. All human ships rendezvous at coordinates 77 Alpha. Good, Jinha said. And Harin, tell them to bring their boarding gear. Harin stopped typing. Boarding gear? Sir, nobody does boarding actions anymore. Ship defenses are too strong. Suicide. Jinha's smile got wider and colder. That's what makes it perfect? They'll never see it coming. For 50 years the humans had hidden in the dark. They'd run from every fight. They had let the galaxy think they were weak and broken. But all that time, they had been learning, getting stronger, getting angrier. The Tyranno's hegemony had made one big mistake 50 years ago. They had tried to kill all the humans. They had. Failed. And now the humans were going to show them what that mistake cost. Outside the ship, stars looked cold and distant. But inside the Defiance, something hot was burning. Something that had been growing for 50 years. Something that the galaxy had forgotten how to fear. The humans were coming, and this time they weren't running away. The emergency alarm rang through the Galactic Council building. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Aliens ran back and forth, their faces full of fear and confusion. Something terrible had happened, but nobody knew what. Ambassador Velthor rushed into the main meeting room. Other council members were already there, all talking at once. Their voices mixed together in a loud, scared noise. What's going on? Velthor asked. Director Socken turned around. He was a bug-like alien with 6 arms and big black eyes. His whole body was shaking. The Tyranno's hegemony fleet, he said. It stopped moving. Stopped. Velthar didn't understand. What do you mean stopped? I mean they're not moving at all, Socken said. 14,000 ships, just sitting in space. They won't answer our calls. They won't move. They're just there. Velthor looked at the big screen on the wall. It showed the hegemony fleet as thousands of tiny dots. The dots weren't moving. They just sat in the dark like dead things. That's impossible, Velthor said. Fleets don't just stop. Something must be wrong with our sensors. We checked, said another alien. We checked 3 times. The ships are still there. They're not broken. They're not destroyed. They're just not doing anything. A young female alien ran into the room. She looked scared and out of breath. Sir, she said to Director Socken, we're getting a message. It's coming from inside the hegemony fleet. Everyone in the room went quiet. A message from inside the fleet. That made no sense. The hegemony never let outsiders on their ships. Put it on the main screen, Socken said. The screen changed. Instead of dots in space, it now showed a face, a human face. The human was middle-aged with gray hair and scars on his cheek. His eyes were cold and hard, like pieces of ice. When he spoke, his voice was calm but scary. My name is Commander Jinha of the United Earth Remnant, the human said. 50 years ago, your hegemony killed my world. Today we collect what you owe us. Velthor felt his heart stop. Humans. But humans were dead. Everyone knew that. The file said so. You see 14,000 ships, Jinha continued. What you don't see are the 14,000 humans on each ship right now. We've been very busy for the last 50 years. The room exploded in shocked. Voices? 14,000 humans? On hegemony ships? That was impossible. You couldn't just board enemy ships. The defenses were too strong. The security was too tight. It was suicide. But the human kept talking. We gave them a choice. Give up the ships and live. Fight us and die. Most of them chose to fight. Another human voice came from somewhere off-screen. It was a woman. She sounded calm, like she was reading a shopping list. Casualty report, hegemony forces 85% dead. Human forces 12% dead. The numbers hit Velthar like a punch to the stomach. 85%. That meant millions of hegemony soldiers were dead. And only 12% of the humans died? Was that possible? The humans had boarded 14,000 ships at the same time. Ships with thousands of soldiers each. And they had won. All of them. The Rim worlds are under our protection now, Jinha said. If anyone attacks innocent people again, we will come for you. The screen went black. The room stayed quiet for a long time. Nobody knew what to say. Finally, Director Sakin spoke. We need to find out how many humans are still alive, and we need to find out right now. High Admiral Drakter was the strongest warrior in the hegemony fleet. He was 8 feet tall, with thick armor and weapons that could destroy cities. He had never lost a battle in 40 years of war, but now he was on his knees, bleeding on the floor of his own command bridge. The human standing in front of him looked small and weak. The human was a woman with short black hair. She wore simple clothes and carried no big weapons. But Admiral Drakter was more scared of her than anything he had ever seen. "Where are my officers?" the Admiral asked. Dedharan said simply, "They tried to fight. Bad choice." The Admiral looked around his bridge. It was full of humans now. They were young and old, men and women. They didn't look like soldiers. They looked like normal people. But they had taken his ship in 20 minutes. "How?" the Admiral whispered. "My ship has the best defenses in the galaxy. Thousands of security systems. Elite guards. How did you get inside?" Harton smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. "Your defenses look for ships and weapons. They don't look for people who can hold their breath for 3 hours and survive in space." The Admiral's blood went cold. "That's impossible. No one can survive in space without a suit. Hegemony soldiers can't," Hurin agreed. "But we're not. Hegemony soldiers, we're humans. We've been living in the dark between stars for 50 years. It changed us." Walked over to a window that looked out into space. "See that ship over there? The big one, with all the weapons?" The Admiral looked. It was the Death Hammer, the most powerful ship in his fleet. "Quan took that one an hour ago," Hurin said. "Want to guess how many humans it took?" "How many?" Admiral asked, even though he didn't want to know. "1." The Admiral stared at her. 1 human had taken the Death Hammer, a ship with 10,000 crew members. 50 years ago, you killed our world," Hurin said. "You thought that would end us? But you only made us angry. And you taught us something important." "What?" the Admiral whispered. "You taught us that the galaxy only respects strength, so we became strong?" Hurin walked to the communication system. "This is Hurin to all human teams." "Report." Voices came. "From all over the fleet, ship secured, ship secured, ship secured." The reports went on and on. Hundreds of them. Admiral Hurin said, "Your fleet belongs to us now. Your soldiers are dead or captured. Your weapons are under our control." She leaned down close to his face, and this is just the beginning. The Admiral looked into her eyes and saw something that made him want to scream. It wasn't anger or hate. It was something worse. It was patience. The humans weren't done. This was just their first move in a game that would reshape the galaxy, and they were going to win. Dr. Tanith had studied war for 300 years. She knew everything about how different species fought. She had written books about battle tactics and weapon systems. She thought she understood violence, but watching the human fight recordings made her feel sick. Dr. Tanith was a tall, thin alien with purple skin and 4 arms. She worked for the Galactic Council as their war expert. When the Council wanted to know how dangerous an enemy was, they asked her. Now they wanted to know about humans. She sat in her lab, watching the same video over and over. It showed a human male named Quan moving through a hegemony ship. The ships. Hallways were full of enemy soldiers shooting at him, but Quan just kept walking forward. "Computer," Stop the video, Dr. Tanith said. The screen froze. Quan was caught in mid-step, walking through laser fire that should have killed him 10 times over. His clothes were burned. His skin was bleeding, but his face looked calm, almost happy. Computer, show me Quan's body readings during this fight. Numbers appeared on another screen. Dr. Tanith read them and felt her hands shake. The human's heart was beating so fast it should have exploded. His pain levels were high enough to kill most aliens. His adrenaline was at levels that would poison other species, but he kept fighting. More than that, he was enjoying it. This is impossible, Dr. Tanith whispered. No species enjoys pain this much. She had studied thousands of warrior races. All of them fought when they had to. They protected their families or their territory, but they didn't like fighting. They did it because they had no choice. Humans were different. They seemed to love war itself. Dr. Tanith played another video. This one showed Haren moving through a different ship, but this recording was strange. Sometimes Haren was there, sometimes she wasn't. The ship's cameras kept losing track of her. Computer, analyze this footage. Why can't the cameras see the human female? Unknown, the computer said. The subject appears to be using advanced stealth technology. Dr. Tanith frowned. The humans didn't have advanced technology. Their ships were old and patched together. So how was Haren becoming invisible? She slowed the video down, watching frame by frame. Suddenly she saw it. Haren wasn't using technology at all. She was moving in the blind spots between cameras. She knew exactly where each camera was pointing, and she stayed in the shadows. But that was impossible too. The ship had thousands of cameras. No one could memorize them all. No one could move through a ship without being seen, unless they weren't thinking like a normal person anymore. Computer, show me more footage of human boarding actions. Dozens of videos appeared on her screens. Dr. Tanith watched them all, and each one made her more scared. The humans weren't just fighting, they were learning. Every battle taught them something new. In the first videos, humans fought like normal soldiers. They used cover and worked in teams. They followed basic military tactics. But as the videos went on, the humans changed. They started moving differently. They began to predict where their enemies would be before the enemies knew it themselves. They found weaknesses in ship designs that no one else had ever noticed. They're evolving, Dr. Tanith said out loud. Not over millions of years. Now, in real time, she called up the newest footage. This video was only 2 days old. Showed Jinha walking through a hegemony command ship, but he wasn't fighting at all. Enemy soldiers just stepped aside and let him pass. Computer, analyze the human commander's behavior in this recording. Subject appears to be using psychological warfare. Enemy personnel show signs of extreme fear and submission. Dr. Tanith watched Jinha's face. He wasn't threatening anyone. He wasn't even carrying a weapon. But something in his eyes made hardened warriors back away in terror. "What are you?" she whispered at the screen. Her assistant rushed into the lab. He was a young alien with green scales and nervous eyes. "Dr. Tanith," he said, "we're getting new reports from the front lines. The humans are changing their tactics again." Joe. "Me," she said. The new video made Dr. Tanith's blood turn cold. It showed Quan moving through the inside of a hegemony dreadnought. But he wasn't in the hallways anymore. He was crawling through the air vents like some kind of animal. The ship's crew never saw him coming. He appeared in the engine room like a ghost. In 20 minutes, he had sabotaged the main reactor. The whole ship exploded from the inside, but Quan was already gone. The next video showed him on a different ship, moving through its ventilation system like he had built it himself. "They're not fighting like soldiers anymore," Dr. Tanith said. "They're hunting like predators." She pulled up medical scans of captured humans. The readings made no sense. Their bodies had changed in ways that should have been impossible. Their bones were denser. Their muscles were stronger. Their skin could survive in conditions that would kill other species instantly. 50 years in deep space, she said to herself. The radiation, the cold, the constant danger, it changed them on a genetic level. But it wasn't just their bodies that had changed, it was their minds too. The humans thought differently now. They saw patterns that others missed. They understood violence in ways that scared even professional warriors. Dr. Taneth, her assistant, said, "There's something else. The humans captured a hegemony science vessel yesterday. They're studying our technology now." She felt her heart sink. If humans could learn and adapt this fast from fighting, what would happen when they got their hands on advanced alien science? "Long before they understand our technology?" she asked. Based on their learning rate, her assistant said, "Maybe 2 weeks? 2 weeks?" In 2 weeks, humans would know everything the hegemony knew about weapons, shields, and faster-than-light travel. They would take that knowledge and make it better, just like they had done with warfare. Dr. Taneth looked at all the videos on her screens, humans moving like shadows, humans surviving impossible damage, humans learning from every fight and becoming more dangerous each time. "We made a mistake," she said quietly. "What kind of mistake?" her assistant asked. "We thought they were just another warrior species," Dr. Taneth said. "But they're not warriors. They're not even soldiers." She pointed at the frozen image of Jin Ha walking calmly through a ship full of terrified enemies. "They're apex predators. We just gave them a reason to hunt." Fleet Admiral Zektar had never been afraid in his entire life. He was the greatest military leader in galactic history. He had won 1,000 battles and conquered 50 worlds. When other species saw his fleet coming, they surrendered without firing a shot. But today his hands were shaking. The admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the biggest fleet ever assembled. 500,000 ships from 12 different species. Every major power in the galaxy had sent their best warships and their finest warriors, all to fight 10,000 humans. "Admiral," said his communications officer, "all fleets report ready for battle." Zektar nodded. The math was simple. 500,000 ships against maybe 20 human vessels. Should have been easy. Should have been over in minutes. But intelligence reports said the humans had changed. They had captured hegemony technology and learned how to use it. They had studied alien science and made it better. Dance. They had advanced their technology by centuries. "Sir," said the tactical officer, "sensors show human ships entering the Kepler Nebula, just as predicted." Zektar smiled for the first time in days. The Kepler Nebula was perfect for his plan. The gas clouds would hide his fleet's approach. The humans would never see them coming. He would surround them and finish this war before it really started. "All fleets advance into the nebula," he ordered. 500,000 ships moved forward like a metal storm. They spread out in perfect formation, surrounding the nebula from all sides. Nothing could escape. Nothing could survive. The nebula was thick with colorful gas clouds. It was beautiful and deadly. Ships could hide in it, but they could also get lost. Sensors didn't work well in the gas. Communication was difficult, but Zektar had planned for that. His fleet was so big that it didn't matter. Even if they couldn't see the humans clearly, they could fill the entire nebula with weapons fire. Nothing would survive. "Contact in 30 seconds, reported the tactical officer. Zektar felt his confidence return. This was what he did best. This was why they called him the greatest admiral in the galaxy. "All ships, prepare to fire," he commanded. The seconds ticked by. 2010. 5. "Contact," shouted the tactical officer. The battle lasted 14 minutes. When the gas clouds cleared, Admiral Zektar found himself on his knees in his own command center. Blood ran down his face from a broken nose. Around him, human soldiers worked at the control stations like they owned the ship, because they did own it now. "How?" Zektar whispered. Commander Ginha turned around. He was wearing an enemy uniform now, but with human modifications. The cloth looked tougher, like it could stop bullets. His boots were designed for moving in zero gravity. "You made the same mistake everyone makes," Ginha said. His voice was calm, like he was explaining something to a child. "You thought we would fight like you do?" Jinha walked to the main display screen. It showed the aftermath of the battle, where 500,000 ships had entered the nebula. Now there were only empty space and floating debris. "Your ships fought each other," Jinha continued. "We just helped them along." Zektar stared at the screen. That's impossible. Our communication systems are secure. Our identification codes are unbreakable. Haren looked up from a computer terminal. She had been downloading the ship's entire database. Your codes were unbreakable, she said, 50 years ago. But we've had a lot of time to practice. She showed him a small device in her hand. It was no bigger than a coin, but it was flashing with hundreds of lights. This little thing can copy any communication signal, she explained. We put them on your ships before the battle started, and we just told your fleets to shoot at each other. Before the battle, Zektar felt sick. How did you get devices? On our ships before the battle, Quan appeared from the lower decks. His engineering uniform was spotless, like he had just put it on. In his hands, he carried a data pad showing ship schematics. We've been on your ships for 3 days, Quan said. Every single one of them. You never saw us because you weren't looking. The Admiral's mind tried to process what he was hearing. Humans had been living on his ships for 3 days. 500,000 ships? That was impossible. His security was perfect. His sensors detected everything. Your sensors look for ships and weapons, Jinha said, reading his thoughts. They don't look for humans who can survive in space without suits. Humans who can hold their breath for hours. Humans who can hide in places you never thought to check. Ginha gestured around the bridge. Your crew didn't die in battle, Admiral. They died in their sleep 3 nights ago. We've been flying your ship ever since. Zektar looked around at what he thought were his officers.
Out! He could see they
were all humans. They had been pretending to be his crew for days, and he never noticed. The greatest fleet in galactic history, Haren said, still working at her computer. 500,000 ships, 12 species, the best weapons in the galaxy. She looked up at the Admiral with cold eyes. And you gave it all to us? What do you want? Zektar asked. He was beaten, and he knew it. The humans had captured his entire fleet without firing a shot. Information, Jinha said simply. Military bases, government facilities, the location of every species that sent ships to fight us. He sat down in the Admiral's chair like it belonged to him. You see, Admiral, this wasn't really about stopping us. This was about mapping the galaxy. Every species that joined your fleet just told us exactly where to find them. Quan held up his datapad, complete tactical information on 12 different species, their weapons, their defenses, their weaknesses. Everything we need to visit them personally. Visit them? Zektar whispered. To have a conversation, Jinha said, about the importance of leaving innocent people alone. The Admiral realized. What the humans were planning, they were going to use his captured fleet to hunt down every species that had tried to destroy them, one by one. World by world. You can't fight the entire galaxy, he said desperately. Jinha smiled, and Admiral Zektar wished he hadn't. The expression was cold, impatient, and absolutely certain. Admiral Jinha said, we just captured 500,000 ships with 20 humans. How exactly do you think the rest of the galaxy is going to stop us? Outside the ship's windows, human crews were moving between the captured vessels. They moved through space like they were swimming through water, adapting and learning and becoming. More dangerous with every passing hour, the hunters had become the hunted, and the humans were just getting started. 1 year later, the Galactic Council met for the last time. The great meeting hall that once held thousands of alien representatives now had only 100 beings left. Empty seats stretched in all directions like the bones of a dead animal. Most species had either run away to the far edges of the galaxy or simply disappeared. Ambassador. Velthor sat in his chair and looked around at the empty room. His blue glass skin looked dull and cracked. He had aged 10 years in the past 12 months. Everyone had. The humans had kept their promise. They protected innocent people with the same cold efficiency they brought to war. Farmers and miners and peaceful traders were safe now. No one dared to attack them. But military leaders, government officials, and anyone who hurt innocent people, they were gone. Not conquered, not captured. Gone. The humans didn't take over planets or build empires. They simply removed problems. Like a surgeon cutting out disease, they found the bad people in the galaxy and made them disappear. "The morning reports," said Secretary Nalvin, her voice shaking. She was a small, mouse-like alien who had taken over running the council when the previous leaders vanished. "The Tyranno's hegemony is finished," she read from her tablet. "Their capital city is empty. Their government buildings are being used as schools for freed slaves. Their military bases have been turned into hospitals." She looked up at the few remaining council members. "There's no sign of violence anywhere. The humans just removed. The leadership and left ambassador." Veltar closed his eyes. The hegemony had been the strongest military power in the galaxy. They had ruled through fear for 1,000 years. Now they were gone, and nobody had seen it happen. "Any word from the hegemony survivors?" asked someone from the back. "The former slaves say the humans were very polite," Secretary Nelvin replied. "They knocked on doors before entering. They said please and thank you. They helped old people and gave food to children. And the hegemony leaders. Gone all of them. No bodies, no trace, no evidence. They simply stopped existing." The main screen activated. Everyone in the room held their breath. When the humans appeared on screen these days, it usually meant bad news for someone. Commander Jinha appeared on the display. He looked older now, but calmer. Behind him, Horan and Quan worked at control stations. They were on the bridge of what used to be the hegemony's most powerful warship. "Council members," Jin has said. His voice was polite but tired. "I wanted to give you a final report," Final Velthar asked. "The last of the slave trading cartels has been eliminated," Jinha said. "The outer rim is secure. Pirate attacks have stopped completely. The trade routes are safe." Haran looked up from her. "Station, colony ship, New Dawn reports successful planetfall. The refugees from the hegemony territories are settling well on their new homes." Quan's voice came from off-screen. "The hospital ships are ready for deployment. Medical supplies have been distributed to all the poor worlds." Ginha nodded. "Emergency phase is complete. The galaxy is safe for innocent people again." Ambassador Velthor felt confused. "What do you mean emergency phase?" Ginha was quiet for a moment. 50 years ago, we came to the stars as explorers. We wanted to meet new friends, learn new things, and find our place among the stars." The screen showed images of human children playing on what used to be hegemony military bases. They looked happy and normal, except for the way they moved through environments that would kill other species. "The galaxy taught us that was impossible," Jinha continued. "It taught us that the strong prey on the weak, that civilized people build their peace on the suffering of others, that the only language anyone understands is violence." Paused, and something almost human showed in his cold eyes. "So we learned to speak that language perfectly." Quan stepped into view. His engineer's uniform had been replaced by something that looked like armor designed for deep space combat. "But we never forgot what we really wanted to be. The galaxy has changed," Hurin said, looking directly at the camera. "The bullies are gone. The slave traders are gone. The ones who hurt innocent people for profit are gone." "What happens now?" Velthar asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Jinha smiled. And for the first time in a year, it looked almost warm. "We go back to being what we always wanted to be. Explorers, protectors, friends to those who need friends."
What?
"If someone tries to hurt innocent people again," Secretary Nelvin asked. The warmth left Jinha's eyes instantly. "Then we remind them why that's a bad idea." Quan held up a data pad. "Sir, the deep space monitoring stations are online. Well, know about any threats long before they become dangerous." "Good," Jinha said. "Harin's status on the diplomatic ships?" "Ready for launch," she replied. "The first contact teams are excited to meet the peaceful species we haven't talked to yet." Jinha turned back to the camera. "Council members, the galaxy is yours again. Govern it wisely. Protect the weak. Be fair to everyone. And remember that we're always watching." "Always," Velthor whispered. "The space between stars is our home now," Jinha said. "We live in the dark places where others can't survive. We see everything, we hear everything, and we never forget." The transmission started to end, but Jinha spoke one more time. "We were explorers once, dreamers who believed the universe was big enough for everyone to find happiness among the stars. Maybe someday, when the galaxy remembers how to be kind, we can be that again. The screen went dark. Outside the council building, normal life continued. Alien children played in parks. Merchants sold food in markets. Ships carried cargo between peaceful worlds. But in the darkness between stars, human ships moved with silent purpose, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as guardians who had paid the ultimate price for their duty. They had sacrificed their humanity to become something else. Something colder, more terrible, and infinitely more patient. They were the monsters that monsters feared in the dark, and they would burn forever in the cold space between worlds. Making sure that innocence could sleep safely under alien suns, the fire that burned in human hearts had been changed by loss and hardened by survival. It was no longer the warm flame of wonder that had first carried them to the stars. It was the cold fire of guardians, who chose to become nightmares so others could have dreams and it would never go out.